This is Gamers Nexus. Apparently, another company is being a scumbag. Gotta love that, guys.
Struck a nerve. Go figure that when you cover crime, corruption, and money, it upsets people who like money. This is Bloomberg. Bloomberg likes money. I came out here at 5 a.m. this morning to make sure, and it sure seems like they have a lot of it. Bloomberg filed an illegitimate and invalid copyright strike against our 3.5-hour-long movie about the AI GPU black market earlier this week, and our attorneys have prepared a response, but it's written in legalese, and I thought it might be better to explain our response to Bloomberg to our audience by using a more universal language.
So yeah, Bloomberg, if you don't understand, they're one of those companies that's in the background, silently kind of trying to be rich snobs. So yeah. I would also probably give them that message.
Now the safest thing to do would be to accept the strike, wait 90 days, and then say nothing of it ever again. But first of all, I've got New York's angriest defector who's saying this.
I hope that Steve Burke goes to Bloomberg and gives them a piece of his mind. I hope he has to speak to their legal department. If they don't solve the issue, I hope he finds a lawyer. If he doesn't find a lawyer, I'll find one for him. Because this is bullshit.
Hopefully he doesn't copyright strike me. And secondly, does that sound like us? To just say nothing of it ever again?
Like, Bloomberg, what were you thinking? You attacked the most vocal and I'll get you back YouTube channel on the platform. They're vindictive to any company that tries to screw them. Like, they've already killed like 2 companies. You're making them a bigger YouTube channel by attacking them. And they're already pretty big, Bloomberg.
You can get a free copy of our movie, included with backer tier orders on store.gamersnexus.net. Our content is pushing enough buttons that large corporate bootlickers are abusing copyright systems to take it down. Just like the black market GPUs, you can get your own black market copy of the first ever Gamers Nexus full feature movie on the store by buying one of our backer tiers. These include different types of products, like our Turn a Blind Eye t-shirt that says the Chinese idiom under every time we ask those in the illicit GPU supply chain if NVIDIA is aware of export control violations. Our Kingpin backer tier includes a tube of Kingpin thermal paste, a GPU paper launch t-shirt, in addition to the Blind Eye and Blacklisted shirts for that tier, a 4-pack of our brand new GPU VRAM glassware with gold halo, and more. It even includes a special upcoming small group Q&A session with me. Or you can grab the Fence tier, which has the pint glass, a bonus video, a black market sticker pack, Blind Eye t-shirt, and wallpaper. Every one of these tiers comes with a free copy of our movie that we're writing to 128GB USB keys. So you also get a usable, large capacity USB key, allowing you to preserve our movie in your collection, no matter who strikes it next. But finally, our Honey Pot t-shirt is a charity shirt where we donate its profit to multiple organizations, one of which is archive.org, which assists...
Well, now. Why was Cinderella thrown off the basketball team? She ran away from the... God damn it, Regulard! I'm gonna fight you.
In preserving our movie and feels fitting here. We're happy to share that profit with them. Head over to the store to support our ability to fight against censorship by large corporations. Bloomberg said it wasn't appropriate to call them with questions. They must prefer the old-fashioned way, face-to-face conversations.
Whatever's out there, stuff like that. Please don't bring Bloomberg into your business. That's all.
But they're the ones who brought us in to their business.
How's that?
Because they filed a copyright strike on us. Bloomberg filed...
Yeah, unfortunately for you, security officer, he has the right to be there because they won't accept phone calls and they're the one, or emails, when they're the ones that initiated the copyright strike. Ergo, they have to see him. Otherwise, he could just overturn their copyright strike. They need to about conversation with him.
NVIDIA AI GPU black market smuggling investigation video from YouTube. They claim the reason for this is that we had an attributed clip of US President Donald Trump speaking about the unban of NVIDIA's H20 GPU, placed at minute 22 until 23:15 in the video, which includes...
This is what pisses me off about my channel. I'll have a channel that's completely devoid of any copyright, but a few sound bites will fit together just slightly enough that some, like, random ass company I've never heard of will be like, that's our song. The hell it is. You're not getting crap. And I'm very determined to just start copyright striking them back. Like, overturning it and being like, screw with me, I'll screw with you. I'm gonna start finding your stuff and start copyright striking it. You want me to do that? Because that's what I'm gonna start doing.
Studio recorded voiceover. The clip we included is absolutely 100% within our fair use rights for inclusion and is not a creative work by Bloomberg. It is not copyright infringement. It's allowed. This was an abuse and continues to be an abuse of the copy strike system on YouTube by Bloomberg.
And YouTube will keep it this way because it protects companies.
Attorneys have sent Bloomberg a demand letter and have filed a counterclaim with YouTube.
I think all of the burden of proof should be on the copyright claimer. The person that's claiming you took it. They need to prove that that's their stuff. They need to show 100% evidence that that's theirs. Because if it's true, it shouldn't be a problem. But if it's not, you're going to have a lot of trouble. I don't think it should be that damn easy to copyright strike. It should not be just a two clicks. Because I know it's 2 clicks. It's literally click, click. Which is bullshit. Yes, I cursed.
Counterclaim, which means our video will go back online in about 10 days, unless Bloomberg produces evidence to YouTube that it has filed a lawsuit against us. Presently, they haven't done that. When we reported on what...
Yeah, that's the other problem, Bloomberg. At the very least, YouTube knows if they put it any longer, they'd really piss people off. 10 days, most people will just wait the 10 days.
What the United States President said and used the TV clip to prove he said it rather than just ask you to take our word for it. It was newsworthy, transformative. It included reporting and criticism. Conveyance of news, technical context Bloomberg does not provide, especially given its tragic history with
Bloomberg likes to play behind the scenes and make money and do lots of insider trading and stuff and then pretend that they don't. They're under the same category as, what's it called? It's like BlackRock or something? Yeah, BlackRock. Both of these companies like to obfuscate what they're doing.
Up the Supermicro story, and even included...
Notice that it's all these companies. Who wants to censorship on the internet? Companies.
Parody near the claimed area. Bloomberg struck us over about 0.5% of content, and that part was under fair use. And we're not the only ones who think so. Friend of the channel and consumer advocate Louis Rossman had this to say.
This is a really slippery slope to go down. What, are we just going to accept that this is normal, that if one outlet records the president speaking, that outlet now has a monopoly on who is able to quote the president?
No, you can't do that. Not allowed. It's the news. It is public info. It belongs to the public.
Insane. How are you supposed to demonstrate and prove that the president said this in your video if you can't use my recording of the president speaking? And if fair use is to mean anything at all, it would apply to when the Commander-in-Chief of the United States is speaking on a topic of relevance to a documentary. What is fair use for if you can't use it to quote the president speaking?
He's not alone either. Coverage from copyright attorney Leonard French also explores this topic.
If I'm right, and I'm right a lot, then the Gamers Nexus video is objectively a fair use, and it will be just a matter of how at this point. How do you convince Bloomberg to drop the claim? How do you get YouTube to put the video back up?
Copyright strikes are serious. You get 3 of them until your channel is terminated by YouTube. Abuse of this system also acts as a suppression, because if Bloomberg,
aka Nintendo, doing it against people they don't like.
Bloomberg doesn't intend to file a lawsuit, it still gets the benefit of suppressing us for around 12 to 13 total days, which obliterates video momentum, even if
it obliterates video momentum, and the companies know that. It also takes away your monetization of it. Companies know that. They will steal your money. That's how they legally steal your money, because YouTube allows them to steal your money. That's why none of my videos get very far, even though they do really good in the algorithm. Because a lot of times, the second they get to like 1,000 something views, they get hit with a copyright. But they don't get monetization effect. You know what they get? They get revenue split. These companies didn't make that sound. You can't copyright like a minute of sound. Frick off.
does go back online, and it certainly helps them drive more views to their competing video. In the meantime, you can see here that their views per day dropped by 50% within just a few days of us publishing our AI GPU investigation. The first full day we were offline because of them, their traffic increased by 13% within 24 hours, which is very abnormal for a video that's already been up. The timeline is simple.
You can usually trace who's actually copyright striked you by going through the videos and finding it.
Simple. A $15 billion per year publication, Bloomberg filed a copyright strike claiming 75 seconds out of 209 minutes of content, all of which our attorneys will vigorously defend as transformative and fair use. The claim.
I don't think it should be legally allowed for you to copyright strike a video unless you've watched the entire thing and proved where it is. Immediately. Not in 10 days. You need to show proof now. Until then, my video should be unaffected. Like, since when have we been allowed to stifle competition without ever, like, doing anything? We just click a button. If that was the case, there would be no other social media network, because Zuckerberg would have constantly pressed the button on Twitter and stuff like that.
Seized our ad revenue. It'll give it to the $15 billion per year mega corporation, Bloomberg. We called Bloomberg attorneys to confirm it was them and not a spoofed filing. Bloomberg's attorneys manually confirmed with us the copyrights.
That's where you fucked up.
Strike, and then barked at us on the phone because they said it's inappropriate for us to call them. Our attorneys helped us find.
Nah, you know what? Sue them. Sue them to
file a counterclaim on the same day. Next, I asked Vitaly what he's doing 12 hours from now. At 5 a.m. on Friday, August 22nd, Vitaly and I went on our next big adventure, got on a plane to New York City, and went to meet our new friends. This is one of them. This unmarked Bloomberg security guard followed us around and monitored us across multiple city blocks while we were nearby. Where's their logo?
On the left, yep.
Is it in shot? What's that? We are not from Bloomberg. It's a public sidewalk, so. And you'll even see him regularly appear in the background of some of our shots, as we must have made someone very uncomfortable with our presence.
Think Phil bringing the backup.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he coming back out? So I think what we'll do is, just to be extra safe, I'm gonna walk on the street in that turn lane, just so I'm 100% not on their property, if you wanna follow me. And then I'm gonna stop on the other side of this, you know, this block they have on the ground where it changes. I'm gonna go on the other side of the sidewalk. While we were in the area, a Bloomberg employee said this. By 11 a.m., we got to say hi to Bloomberg Security.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi. Bloomberg Security.
By 12 p.m., we saw our copyright counterclaim was approved by YouTube. 1 p.m., Bloomberg told us we have to ask them permission anytime we show Bloomberg, and then admitted to us that Bloomberg retroactively changes its content after publishing, which is very interesting for a whole new host of reasons that we'll save for the future. Around 3 p.m., Bloomberg told our attorneys that they'd be happy to release the strike if we pay them a licensing fee in what felt to us like a...
That's preposterous. Oh, look! I got subbed by Preposterous. That's hilarious. Preposterous. If you comment on a video, I will pin you. Especially this one. If you comment on this one when it comes out, I'm gonna pin you. That's preposterous. You can't extort people. That's mafia levels of extortion.
Shakedown. It's interesting to us, though, because we've covered Bloomberg reports a lot in the past. I've appeared on their podcast and I've made them money. So it's interesting because Bloomberg didn't have a problem with us covering them in the past. So we started trying to figure out what motive Bloomberg could possibly have for an illegitimate copyright strike. Bloomberg has teams of lawyers. Maybe they're used to steamrolling smaller media. Maybe they're pulling the ladder up after them, or maybe they're nervous, jealous of new media that's more agile and more capable of getting the job done. We're not really sure what their motive was.
And honest. They don't want a different message going out.
Came out here to try and figure it out. As one possibility, maybe Bloomberg copyright struck our video because it recently had a failed attempt to do what we did successfully. It flew all the way out to China to try and find AI GPUs and server racks, failed to do so, had its access revoked, and then filmed a bunch of footage of sand in a desert. So could it be because of their pathetic, botched attempts at doing what we did when they flew out to China, were unable to find anything they went looking for, filmed a bunch of sand in a desert, failed to provide any answers to the questions they were asking, and then came back empty-handed? Bloomberg's own viewers certainly had questions. They wrote things like this. Why is this a story? Bloomberg's big investigation is just China's building some data centers. We don't know what chips they use. Groundbreaking journalism. If you don't know, then you don't have a story. Reporting without any information. WTF. I thought they would actually show us real chips being used. Worthless information. By the way, that information I found on satellite maps as well without wasting so much money. And the best one, quote, the entire video, basically, Bloomberg don't know. So while we...
That's hilarious. That's very hilarious.
Don't know exactly what Bloomberg's motive was. Certainly seems like not knowing is enough of a foundation for them to publish a story. Maybe it's not, because their video gets more views from copyright striking our video. Maybe also it's just a coincidence that the first time Bloomberg has a problem with our reporting, it has to do with what we think is underground government corruption by NVIDIA, which just happens to be a big sponsor of Bloomberg. Bloomberg's financial interests are so intertwined with NVIDIA that it has an entire page dedicated to NVIDIA's sponsored content. Bloomberg's sponsored, paid-for content goes through great lengths to market NVIDIA's products, and in particular, its AI products that we've frequently criticized. After all, CEO Jensen Huang...
AI is not there yet. All these companies shoving it into everything are idiots.
Appears on Bloomberg. He even had a trip to Taiwan the day after our video was pulled from the internet, with a lot of local Taiwan media talking about our story in relation to NVIDIA.
透过画面来了解这些晶片如何突破美国的管制，进到了中国的市场。只是没有想到，影片上架没几天就被平台以违反数位千禧年著作权法，昨天遭到无预警的下架。频道发布了官方声明，说著作权法系统遭到滥用，同时是不是也代表影片内容戳破了什么不能说的秘密呢？
H20, I'm very grateful that the U.S. government, the Trump administration, has approved licenses for us to export H20s to China.
As she said, what unspeakable secret was revealed? But maybe not. They could be totally unrelated. Maybe there's no bias there at all. Maybe NVIDIA isn't pulling any of its own strings. Perhaps instead, Bloomberg didn't like our coverage of China circumventing export controls because Bloomberg wants to protect its access to China. Bloomberg has been accused of suppressing its own China coverage in the past because it has a large presence in China to protect, with the Financial Times and New York Times both reporting on this. Maybe, as Lewis highlighted, it's because Bloomberg has been accused of trying to ruin reporters, including threats to financially devastate families. That's a
I don't think, and I think this needs to be a rule if we're going to have a free economy anymore, is for a company to sue an individual, they need to be limited on how much litigation they can spend. Both lawyers need to get together and have an agreement on, like, we can't extend. No, like, the judge needs to put forth, due to the egregious difference in monetization and what's the word? Expectation to like show evidence or whatever. I can't remember what the word would be. I'm going to only allow up to like 5 extensions or something. Something like enough to where it makes sense, but not an egregious amount. To where the other company, if they are losing, they cannot extend indefinitely. And there will be a settlement, like, reached. That, or the company has to pay for their litigation as well. It's only fair. They have to pay until it's decided whether they win or lose. If they lose, they pay for everything. If they win, they can make that person pay. But otherwise, they cannot do that. And they do not get the info from the lawyer. Just because they're paying. Those are ways you can make it fair.
For challenging coverage in China. It could also be because Bloomberg is sponsored by Singapore's government, which happens to be one of the major channels we showed through which GPUs are smuggled into China. Maybe it was because recently they wrote a sponsored post wherein they praised PayPal's business growth and gave PayPal's CEO a platform. PayPal, of course, being the company that we recently filed a lawsuit against alleging theft from content creators. But maybe it's not that either. Perhaps
they are thieving from content creators now. I don't know if y'all heard this from me earlier, but I used to get all of my money straight from Ko-Fi 100%. Because Ko-Fi only doesn't take anything. Unless I sign up for the 1% like exchange. But you guys expressed a way to get to me 100% of the money. So I was like, okay, I'll turn off the 1% and we'll just go to the we'll just go to the regular version of it. And we were getting 100%. And then suddenly we were getting 90%. Yeah, PayPal was taking 10% of everything from Ko-Fi. That's why I say if you want to give me 100%, do a sub on Ko-Fi. Or bits on here. Because that I get 100% of. Because they can't touch the subscription model of Ko-Fi, but they can touch anything that's individual. And they will. Even though they never did before.
Bloomberg copyright struck us because it wants to maintain control over a single platform to filter all political commentary through, disallowing the re-reporting of that commentary.
I'm trying to get it to where my Ko-Fi goes straight to my account.
Different political lens. No, that'd be state-controlled media behavior. That'd be like propaganda.
Completely ignoring PayPal.
Populace and their ability to consume sources of information about their own government. The truth is, we're not sure why they chose to copyright strike that video. It sure seems, though, like they have a lot of reasons to do it. And not one of them is a valid, legitimate copyright claim of the clip that they flagged. And so we called Bloomberg Legal to confirm that Bloomberg takedowns at gmail.com was in fact controlled by Bloomberg. And I was met with a rude response from the legal team, telling us that we needed to communicate to them only through lawyers. But they did confirm that this is a Bloomberg address, and they also confirmed that they manually reviewed the strike. They, in fact, manually reviewed the strike while I was on the phone with them. So someone has looked at this. And since they won't let us ask them questions via the phone, I guess we'll just do it here. Look, we can all predict the most likely outcome of walking in those doors with the camera, but you never know, and it's worth trying. In fact, when we researched it before flying out there, we found an article from Business Insider where their reporter said he got yelled at just for taking photos of sculptures in the lobby. Let's not pretend that getting kicked out would be a shock. But again, we wanted to try and get someone from PR or legal downstairs. We're here for an interview. Bloomberg with Paul. My ID? Yeah. Show you Paul. Madeline would also work. We were asked to sit while they phoned the two lawyers whose names I gave. Like, this guy is important. This guy knows, like, a lot of politicians. I'm curious to see what they'll do. After what felt like an eternity, the lawyers sent security down. Again, no surprise.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. Bloomberg Security.
Okay, and are you able to see if they're able to slot us
I
in?
will. I'll give
Okay. Okay, thank you. Security clearly was given their side of the story, and we recognize he probably doesn't get paid enough to deal with this shit, so we kept everything polite while explaining our side and just asked if he could try to make contact with them.
I like how this guy's being more professional than the lawyers. The lawyers were literally walked to. They flew over, walked to, and came to their building and was like, hey, we're here to talk to you straight to face. And they're like, nah, we're just going to send another guy down who has nothing to do with this to talk.
All the business is related into, but apparently you posted some kind of video that has some Bloomberg content in it.
I think so.
Yeah, and they listen. They have no issue. You seem like nice guys.
I get it. You're doing your job.
All they ask you is that whatever's out there, something like that, please don't bring Bloomberg into your business. That's all.
But they're the ones who brought us in to their business.
How's that?
Because they filed a copyright strike on us. The point of saying it is, it's not I'm bringing Bloomberg into my business. It's actually the other way around from our perspective.
Yeah.
But I understand I understand you're doing your job. So
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're not gonna meet you here.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We figured we'd try.
Yeah, unfortunately, sorry to drag you down here.
That's
Seem
all
like
right.
nice guys.
That's all right.
But
100% they probably reprimand him or fire him.
I appreciate
Thank you for the flash service.
understand.
Well, no, I appreciate you
appreciate it.
being cool with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
gentlemen. Have a great
Take it easy.
weekend.
You too. Of course, the answer was expected. Security guy's not involved in this. He's just some guy. I'm sure he gets paid a fraction. of what the assholes
Yeah.
who filed that claim get paid. Like a fraction of what those assholes get paid. So it's not his fight. But we did get one really hard-hitting interview with a notorious street gangster. They call him the Pigeon. Sir, what do you think about Bloomberg? They're right across the street, sir. Nah. No comment. No comment at all. And even though neither interview subject would speak to us, including this more important one, it's not like
This more important one. Wow.
wasted trip.
What now, Steve?
I didn't really pick that point. I don't know. We could get pizza and then get home before 5 p.m.
Okay, let's go then.
All right, New York pizza. Besides, it was pretty cool meeting a few fans around New York and learning about their computers.
Yo, you the gamer Nexus guy? Dude! My NZXT 8-1!
Oh, really?
Because of you!
Oh, nice.
I'm a man, bro.
Did you,
I got the second one.
Okay, good. All right. I was gonna say good. Yeah, yeah.
Fucking go!
As for the movie, the best way to get a copy of it right now that's protected from being taken down would be to buy one of our backer tiers to get the supporter pack. These include a free 128 gigabyte.
This is only if you want to see it now.
That includes a copy of the movie, so you can have a physical copy of it permanently, no matter who tries to take it down. And as for YouTube, the video will theoretically be back online in 10 business days, assuming Bloomberg doesn't try to file some sort of frivolous lawsuit in the meantime. Bloomberg's attempt to kill the movie means we need to kickstart the algorithm, get it circulating again once it's back online. Millions of people who would have seen the movie in the future may never even know it exists. So to try and get even a fraction
Gotta love it.
that it was on track to get from our back.
Yep, our video could be deleted by Gamers Nexus.
Open it on your computer.
Alright, if you want, could you post it on YouTube? Hi, Midmosh. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Anything to tell the algorithm, hey, wait a minute, this thing's interesting even though it had 0 views for over 10 days. As a community, let's make sure Bloomberg doesn't succeed in what they were trying to do.
Yeah. I'll definitely go back and watch it once it pops up again. I wanted to watch the Young Yeah, but let me find out stuff. But that was Gamers Nexus. I will have the link posted in the YouTube, so y'all can go directly to it after the stream or like in another tab. Obviously, don't leave. Yeah. All right, here we go. Hi, Stealth. Hi, Radical. What a moment to join. I will be fine. I'll be... Maybe. I don't know. There's a possibility of me being fine. Alright. Let's show you gamer! Let's go.
How do you lose $400 million, shut down a game, a studio, and then follow it all up with another live service controversy and say that these failures are actually a good thing?
They are delusional.
You don't know, but it's actually a part of the learning process. You know, I wish I made the kind of money that I could lose $400 million and just be like, well, it's the way she goes sometimes.
Isn't that right? Imagine if I made that kind of money, guys. What kind of crazy streams we'd have? Holy crap. Wait, what am I streaming that I'm losing that kind of money? Gambling! No! Let's not do that.
It's been 1 year since the disastrous launch of Concord, the fastest failure in AAA history. And on its anniversary, both Sony and Games Media have gotten together to reflect, commiserate, and also...
Happy Power Rangers Day? Should we play, like, a Power Rangers game?
Lie about why the game...
Think of the Powies!
But ask the question, did they learn anything?
No. They did not.
No. Unsurprisingly, no, they didn't.
Pre-watch allegations! Pre-watch allegations!
Blaming it all on marketing because it was a hero shooter and also because the market is just that tough right now. Completely ignoring all the criticisms of the players, all the complaints that they had, because they aren't the opinions that they want to hear. Those opinions make them feel uncomfortable. And it's better off just to pretend that that's just a vocal minority. So today what I want to do
The dog's getting embarrassed, guys.
Failure in AAA gaming history.
Fastest failure! Let me get my blanket, guys. Be right. Ugh. I tell you guys, I tell ya. Alright, let's go.
I want to talk about Sony's comments on the disaster and the growing divide between the perception of games media, the industry, and the players. You know, if it was a vocal minority, wouldn't have more copies sold? Looking back, I don't think anybody realizes just how absurd and embarrassing of a failure Concord really was. I mean, we're talking about a game that was in development for over 8 years, racked up more than $400 million in costs, and a year after launch, Sony was so confident in the game and in the studio that they bought the studio on the spot, a team that nobody had ever heard of, and a game that we had never heard of. And when it...
I'm trying to figure out how they tried to spin this as a success.
finally released, it sold 25,000 copies. That's it. There are indie games that you guys have never even heard of that have sold better than that. The reception of the game was so bad that at one point it was the highest trending discussion on social media while simultaneously...
Hello, Emperor!
I've never seen something that has been so widely discussed yet never bought. Sony pulled the plug just after 12 days, and then less than a year after them buying Firewalk, they shut the entire studio down. They basically bought a car and they just totaled it after pulling it out of the dealership. And
not a bad analogy. Basically true.
When you make that kind of mistake, when you fail to understand your audience to that scale, it demands answers. But Sony's response and the industry's
some of the worst character designs. What is this? A blueberry?
response has been terrible. Just this past June, PlayStation boss Herman Hulse doubled down on their live service strategy. He said that he doesn't believe that Bungie's upcoming marathon will suffer the same fate despite all of the controversy around its closed alpha and its stolen assets. There is no way that that game is living.
I'll be surprised if that game releases. Hi, baby.
Down the name Art Raiders. He also had added, saying that we remain very, very committed to building a diverse and resilient live service portfolio.
Thank you for the follow, Dre. Thank you for the ink. Welcome to stream. Hope you have one time in the Dragon Cave.
Good examples of the type of titles we're looking to develop. As for Concord's failure, Hulse blamed.
For those of you who don't understand why they're so desperate on these live services, don't look any further than Fortnite. Fortnite is kind of the precursor to why a lot of gaming has just started to suck. Because they think that their modern, like, military shooters can look like Fortnite. They think that they can make that kind of money. But they don't understand a lot of the, like, caveats to that. Your game has to appeal to kids. Guess what a modern military shooter does not do? It kind of does. And some, like, for, like, a lot of boys, but, like, generally. And here's the thing. Why would they play yours when there's Fortnite? You don't understand that kids, once they're, like, ingrained in something, it takes a while before them to be even slightly curious on your stuff. Like the paddlies. But, like, you're not gonna get those kids.
Market conditions.
You just need to give up. It's already happened.
A hyper-competitive section of the market. I think it was insufficiently differentiated to resonate with players. Ah, yes, the market was too crowded. The game was just not different enough, as if no game could possibly survive under such cruel and unfair.
Marvel Rivals is, like, what's hilarious is Marvel Rivals is an example of why Fortnite did good and other games don't. Fortnite went the other way. What people don't realize. It went the sexual route. It went, let's appeal to girls and guys that, like, want their character to look hot, to be sexualized. Bam! There you go. You've hit a corner of the market that's not being appealed to. Ergo, you're gonna do very good. The sexual route. Like, it went the make our characters hot route. If you notice, before Marvel Rivals, what game really did that? Besides, like, I guess Stellar Blade. None of the games did. Whereas this one did. And people are like, but League of Legends. Here's the thing. League of Legends has been slowly trying to shove down people's throats that their skins are $500 and that they're a gacha game now. You can't do that. That's why League is slowly dying. And Marvel Rivals shot up the stratosphere. Well, no, that's Marvel Rivals, lock on. Fortnite looked at, took the niche of, let's just collab with everybody. Let's appeal to all the kids. It doesn't care that some adults don't like it anymore. It knows kids like them. It knows that kids like all the extra stuff. Well, Nike's a gacha game. Again, it appeals to a particular, like, niche. Descendants. Even, my friend Slimu, who almost got partnered with them, will tell you that game tried to be Warframe without doing the big thing that made Warframe work.
In my opinion, they just put a lot of ideas into it.
Well, if you boil Fortnite down to the very the core concepts, it's fun, jovial, and, like, not so serious ideas. Shooter. Ergo, things that kids like. It's not serious. Like, they play it being serious a little bit, but they don't. Basically, think old age Power Rangers. It's kind of serious, but is it? And then all the skins are like very brightly colored, very happy. There's all those Fortnite, there's all those TikTok dances. Like, there's a reason why Minecraft does good. There's a reason why Roblox does good, sadly. There's a reason why Fortnite does good. Because they appeal to kids. People think that Fortnite tries to appeal to everyone, but it doesn't. It's really just appealing to kids. It's tried a few times to appeal to more broader audience, but notice that it never changes what it knows brings kids in. The skins are always happy and like brightly colored, and they're always gonna have TikTok dances, because those are the things kids like. Oh yeah, Roblox is probably done for. But, the idea here is they've hit a niche. That's what Marvel Rivals did. It hit that niche of, why aren't my characters hot? Because that's the problem Ubisoft and EA kept doing, is they kept trying to push the message, while also, like, making their characters not hot, even though most superheroes are supposed to be hot. They're supposed to be larger than life. They're supposed to be something you want to appeal to be. If you don't make them hot, you break what makes them work. Comes with its own issues, sure. But if you notice, Marvel Rivals kind of just ignores those issues. Because that's how big it is. It took the spot that, what's the other game called? It's funny that I forget their name now. Overwatch, yeah. It took the spot that Overwatch used to take. Because Overwatch used to appeal to those people, because all its skins looked hot. And they made those skins easy to acquire. Marvel Rivals just did the thing straight up the bat where they didn't make it easy to acquire, but they made them even extra hot. Ergo, they fit that niche. They took over that market. Overwatch kind of spoiled itself, shot itself in the foot by trying to eat more than it could chew, kind of thing. More than it could stomach.
Constraints, right? But of course, the cope does not end there, because following the 1-year anniversary of Concord's failure, Herman Hulst has commented further in an article from Games Radar Plus written by Scott McCree titled "Architect of Sony's Disastrous Live Service Push," says, "Failures are good, actually, because now there's more rigorous and more frequent testing."
That is the most massive copium statement I've ever seen.
They write, PlayStation boss Herman Hulst said that the live service failures are good for the development of future attempts. One of Sony's first major pushes into the live service space was Concord, and for those of you who managed to miss out on the fiasco, it was pulled offline after 2 weeks of being out, and not long after, Sony killed the studio behind it, meaning that 8 years of development were basically for nothing. Concord was not a bad game. It was a well-made game and relatively bug-free, but various factors, bad marketing, a paid title in a genre full of free ones, and a bit generic, led it to be a disaster that makes the original Cyberpunk 2077 launch look tame. And yet, PlayStation are unfazed with the development of live service titles going forward. Marathon is the next in line, and from the sound of things, it isn't going swimmingly over.
I wish someone that was like a good person got ahead of Sony, who knew how to market. Because this guy just sucks. He's sucked since he got there, and he's constantly sucked since then.
There either. Sony Interactive Entertainment
Look at the trash can, guys.
CEO Herman Hulst spoke to the Financial Times about Concord's failure and Sony's continued push into live service despite it. Hulst says that the fiasco has led Sony to put in place much more rigorous and more frequent testing, he adds, saying that the advantage of every failure is that now people understand how necessary oversight is. Pulse also added, I don't want teams to play it safe, but I would like us, when we fail, to fail early and cheaply. So let me get this straight. They're calling this a cheap and early failure. 8 years, $400 million lost, 25,000 copies sold that they later ended up having to return because the game was dead in 12 days. The studio gone inside of the same year that you guys purchased it. If that's cheap and early, I would love to know what Sony considers is expensive. Because this was not a quick test. This was a car crash in slow motion, a disaster that everybody saw coming from the initial reveal trailer. And how do you guys still manage to plow into that head first? How did it not dawn on you at any point in 8 years just to make this game known to the public? How do you brush off its failure like it's nothing? I just don't get it, man. Hall says that they're learning from this, but what about the other lessons that don't involve Concord? Since their live service push began, they announced around like 15 different projects. More than half of those games have either failed or been canceled. Concord, Destruction All-Stars, Foam Stars, all dead or circling the drain. They axed the...
This is a list of their things that failed and succeeded. I don't even count MLB The Show as succeeding, honestly. So I would say semi-failed, succeeded, failed, 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 canceled, 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 gonna fail or cancel or both. So fail. I've seen Fair Game. It looks bad. Fail. And these three we don't know about. And I would argue and say Helldivers 2 was not a Sony success. It was that company's success that made it. Because that game succeeded in spite of Sony. Sony almost crushed that game in a night. So I would even count that as a success for them. I've never even heard of MLB The Show, so yeah, that's why I say I'm pretty sure that's a fail. I don't even count this a win for them, Al. I would say that this is succeeded in spite of us. And even then, they almost semi-failed it themselves, refusing to back down on the whole, if you don't have a PlayStation account, you can't play.
Last of Us Multiplayer, Twisted Metal, Spider-Man The Great Web, Bungie's Payback, and the God of War Live Service project, plus 3 other ones that we never even saw. 11 games gone. What's left? Fair Games and Bungie's Marathon. Both of those games have the same trajectory as Concord, at least in my eyes. Both of them are either headed for cancellation or market failure. And yet we're supposed to believe that this is all part of some healthy learning process? I guess you could chalk up one of these losses as a lesson learned, a stumble to make the next game better, but Sony isn't...
I would count the lesson learned success would be Helldivers. And I don't even think they learned that lesson. They probably still want to force people... Here's the thing. There's a reason EA barely succeeds at all. At least they used to on their computer games. And that's because they tried to force people on the platform at the very start, and people still didn't like it because their platform sucked. I installed Steam to play games. I am not installing your thing just to play your games.
Learning at this point with 11 cancellations and
I do want to go back to Helldivers because I do enjoy that game.
I don't think it's a far-fetched idea to think that these guys have blown over $1 billion on a live service gamble. And sure, Helldivers 2 might be a breakout success, but one win does not erase the wreckage.
And I argue, I would argue that that's not even their success.
That's 11 roads
Posture chat
to merge back into your lane, and you just keep blowing right past them. But then again, what should I expect from the same guy who gaslit himself into believing that Concord was going to be Sony's Star Wars? This conversation would be entirely...
I don't know how he gaslit himself into that. Just looking at the characters, I would have instantly told him this is not going to do well. Your design philosophy is all over the place. A lot of these characters look muddied and, like, disinteresting. Some of them look negative interesting. Some of them detract from the experience. And then other of these characters look like they're in a completely different game.
different if Sony had a track record here, if they had a catalog of live service hits to be able to point to, but they don't. Outside of Gran Turismo and MLB The Show, two of their longest running staples, the only success story they have is Helldivers 2, and even that was a gamble that they never expected to succeed. I mean, I would mention Destiny 2 here, but that game's a disaster now. Everything else has collapsed. How do you not look at that? Double down on what you're good at, premium single-player games, and just admit that this whole experiment was a disaster. I don't think it's controversial to say that Sony's first...
What kind of power is that? Ooh, I have a wind tunnel to jump in the air with. Huh?
Party single-player
Hi,
games
Alan!
best in the industry. Not all of them hit, but the vast majority of them do deliver. And regardless of my own personal opinions on them...
Just considering how much Sony spent on marketing Helldivers versus the damage they did, yeah, studio succeeded despite Sony not because of them. Exactly. The studio is the reason that game succeeded. Helldivers 2 is a huge example and a huge proof of concept that you don't need a publisher. People like to forget this, but Pirate Software even said it himself. Long before the whole fiasco, he always said, publishers are a plague. We don't need them. Because all they do is detract from the game.
Alan_J_T just became a kobold. Emergency food yay. 15 months. How have I survived this long? Dear
pure luck. But yeah, like, people like to hate on him and stuff, but he's one of the first people that said, we don't need publishers. Publishers are a plague. Publish your own game. Like, that's anti-corporate right there. And he said it. Like, and it's true. Don't need a publisher. Ignore the publisher. Half of them don't even do what they're supposed to do. And then they take a huge cut of the money. Why? What did they really do for you besides slightly fund you? They didn't do half of what they should do for what they get. Just put your game up on Kickstarter. If it's a good game, guess what? Bam.
The track record speaks for itself. Astrobot stole Game of the Year last year. Spider-Man continues to print money. God of War Ragnarok was one of their fastest selling titles before Helldivers 2. Horizon...
And what's hilarious is the next God of War might not do good because of what happened in this one. Because of all the controversy that people started realizing was in it.
Forbidden West is one of the top sellers in 2022. The Last of Us continues to make cash every time they remake it. Ghost of Tsushima is widely celebrated, and even Ghost of Yote.
The Last of Us Part 2 burns money every time they re-release it. Very few people like that game. The majority of people hate that game to the end of the earth. So, hello, and sorry, my sandwich distracted me. Give me a sandwich! Now!
Despite all the criticism, has people at least cautiously optimistic. I don't love everything that they put out, but there's no denying that Sony has built their reputation on premium single-player experiences, and that's why this whole obsession with live service games is so maddening to me, because they have lost staggering amounts of money chasing this model while it isn't working. Well,
the reason they keep trying to chase it, though, is they want Fortnite money. Problem being, you need to make a game that appeals to that many kids. And it needs to be as good or better at launch. But because of how you make games, you will never do that. Yeah, sadly, Kickstarter and GoFundMe have basically become, help me pay for my doctor's bills. Burn Fortnite to the ground. I've become kind of numb to Fortnite. Fortnite's its own thing. Let Fortnite do its thing. It appeals to kids. Kids are happy. Let it exist. The only thing I draw the line at is stop taking anime characters and other, like, franchises that do not appeal specifically to kids and putting it in your game to try to appeal to more people. Because what you're really doing is muddying the waters for those franchises and like making those franchises suffer because of you.
Redirecting all of their talent and resources from what people actually want, new IP or the return of old IP that fans have been begging for. And that just makes me even...
And here's the thing. Right now, a lot of the companies that own franchises I love that haven't come out yet, I don't want them to create some of my old games. I saw what that gets me. It gets me the abomination that is Dragon Age Vanguard, or Dragon Age the Veilguard. It gets me garbage. So why would I want them to touch games that I love? You don't know what the heck you're doing. You don't have good developers anymore. Why do I want you to touch my stuff that I love?
More mad because Sony didn't just stumble into Concord. It saw it in development. It wrote the check. They bought the studio. They looked at that game and said...
Exactly. Halo Infinite. Assassin's Creed appears in There's a gacha game right now that has Ezio in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to that game again. I have it downloaded, but I'm like, eh. I'll probably try to get him today or something, but I'm so tired of these gacha games taking my character that I love from a franchise I love, then not doing them justice, or trying to charge you for the right to touch your character. No, if you partner with a company or something, the character's free. I'm sorry. Because you're already making a lot of money for the people that really love that character coming to your game.
This is the future of PlayStation, and cost here isn't just financial. Every single team that is pulled off of a new IP, every dollar that's funneled into this failed portfolio, every opportunity smothered in the name of live service, it all adds up. It's not just the wasted money, it's that they've wasted time, talent, and trust. The trust of their players, all to chase a model that their audience never asked for.
Which is hilarious to think about that, like, that's right. No one asked for these things.
How does that make you feel as a customer? The money that you spent, the money that you've invested in their games, in their platform, in their hardware, isn't being used to make better games for you, isn't it?
It's being used to try to get other people to like the game. And you're being ignored. Why are you spending money on them?
Being used to make the games that you want. Instead, it's being used to make the vision that they...
I kind of highly doubt that, Alan, on one big reason. Most of the talents right now don't like Fortnite. They don't play it. Callie's like someone older like me who is not at all interested in Fortnite. And that's one thing Hololive has been known for, is that they only really help out and like let their characters into games that their talents like to play. Notice that one of the few partnerships they've done was with Paladins, because who liked that game that partnered with it? Yeah, see, she loved the game, so they let her partner with it because that game reached out to her. I mean, yeah, she loved it. She loved Paladins. Now she has a voice box, not a voice box, an announcer pack and stuff. That is the only time they really let their talents stuff go in other games, is if that talent really enjoys that game. Do they have a little bit of controversies here and there? Yeah. But I would say of all the companies, Hololive has been the... I want to say the more or less like for their talents company than the rest of them. More so than all the other companies, at least. I don't know quite much what they did with Gura. I think they just expected her to do a lot more than she could, and she was just very... like, it was overwhelming for her, which, like, I can understand that. I don't think that's entirely their fault. Or I don't think that was really anyone's fault in that regard. Am I sure that there's something else wrong? Yes. But I would say they're the least evil of all the companies. Because they seem to at least mostly care what their talent's like and stuff. Ergo, why Callie gets to do her own thing and stuff. From what I understand, Gura did make money. Like, they paid her hand over foot every time she did stuff. That's why she partnered with so many things. Notice that Callie's still able to run her other channel. Like, it's no secret that she does that. And that's because HoloLive respects her. Yeah, that was kind of... It's just a price of the fame that Gura got. Like, I don't exactly blame the company for expecting a bit more of her. I do think they should have pulled back quite a bit. But I also, at the same time, understand they put slightly more pressure on her because she was #1. She kind of was expected to do a lot of the bigger stuff. Because if she didn't, people would be like, wait, but why isn't Gura doing this? Kind of thing, you know? It's kind of the, you got really big, so you're expected to do a lot more. Yeah, they expected more of the people that didn't move to Japan. Like, if I got with HoloLive, I would move to Japan because I've always wanted to move to Japan. I don't think I'll ever get to move to Japan. That's like a dream of mine. But at the same time, like, I understand that some people don't want to move. Some people would like their autonomy. Some people would love where they live. Some people are scared to, like, be all alone in another country. Which, like, am I scared to do that too? Yes, but I'm already at, like, a NEET, basically. I think it's slightly both. But also, I think the main reason Gura and Ame left was slightly more, they were overwhelmed. Because they were both some of the biggest streamers for HoloLive, so they had more expectation. Plus, you gotta realize, they wanted them to kind of stream more towards the Japanese audience. Even though they were English VTubers. They wanted them to be able to stream to both sides. So there was a lot of expectation there.
Want PlayStation to be. I wish that these companies would treat their customers as well as they do their shareholders.
Exactly! That's what I've been saying. Like, at least half as good as the shareholders. They don't even treat them half as good.
If that was the case, PlayStation would look like how we want it to.
It would. It would look amazing.
And I'll be honest with you, I feel like that would be a lot more profitable than what they have been doing. You know, I said this not too long ago in another video, but these companies, they all have a customer base that literally tells them what they want to buy. And with the resources they have, with the talent they have, they could easily deliver on what players are asking for, but they don't. Instead, they go out and they do what you're not asking for, and then they wonder why they fail.
That's the thing that always confused me. They're like doing quite literally the opposite. And then they're confused as to why it doesn't work.
We're using this as a lesson learned. Yeah, sure. I totally agree that coming from the guy that saw...
I agree with him. I'm totally 100%.
Concord in development and said, we need to buy this studio right now because this is going to be our Star Wars. A game that's entire model was built off of the idea of having these knockoff Guardians of the Galaxy seasonal movies every time a new season comes out for the game. How delusional do you have to be to believe that that could ever find success? But that's the debate. That's the entire thing around Concord. It's why it failed. And even in this article that I just read and the CEO's comments, whether it's journalist or CEO, the reasons that they give, the failure, how they're chalking it up, just doesn't make any sense.
They're delusional.
And that is just driving me absolutely insane.
I've stopped caring. Because I was being driven insane, and I was like, they don't... I finally convinced myself they don't know what they're doing, or they don't care. These are marketers that were never meant to rise above marketer. But because these marketers were good at their job in terms of making money, they were moved up. To the point where they're up their own butts and think, I can do no wrong. And then the people that replace them are people that just brown nose their way and don't actually know what the hell they're doing, or don't actually know how to market. And so you got marketers that don't know what they're doing, CEOs that don't know what they're doing, managers that don't know what they're doing in their role. And then now half the developers don't know what they're doing because they're people that hate video games. Like, why are you here? What?
Because the way the industry explains these problems is nothing like what the players are actually experiencing. I just can't take it seriously anymore when these companies claim that they're learning from failure, because if you actually listen to what these guys are saying, it never matches up with what players are actually complaining about. Not a single time. Every single time one of these games collapses, it's the same script that keeps getting rolled out. Publishers blame the market or timing or competition. The media nods along like it's gospel. Meanwhile, the rest of us are screaming about real issues. Uninspired design, broken priorities, character designs that are just not connecting with anybody, and it's like we're not even in the room with these guys. It feels less like an industry that's trying to learn something and more like a monolith that's just rehearsing excuses, a chorus of publishers and journalists singing the exact same tune, while the people who actually buy and play these games are sitting here wondering how many more billions need to be set on fire before somebody listens. In fact, an article from last year proves my case perfectly.
The audio's good, by the way, right? I got some complaints recently, and I've been trying to make sure. Huh? You still only see passed out fluffy cat on PC?
Because IGN admitted it themselves when they wrote an article titled, Concord is estimated to have sold 25,000 units. Here's why analysts think it failed.
I don't need an analyst to know why that one failed. A bit low.
Section of the article, they write, why isn't Concord selling? Usually when I reach out to analysts for a comment on a piece like this, they largely have similar assessments of the bigger picture, but can offer
Was that better, by the way?
differing perspectives on certain details. In the case of Concord, everyone I spoke to agreed on the same reasons it had failed. Concord suffered from poor marketing, a high price point, and most critically, a lack of differentiation in an oversaturated...
That last part was terribly wrong. Poor marketing? Sure, yeah. High price point? Yeah, definitely. This? No.
Saturated genre.
Thank you for that, Stubby!
Blame the marketing, saying that Concord suffered from low awareness and purchase intent, and that before the game's launch, only a tiny percentage of players even knew that it existed. Retail promotion was basically just a handful of web placements, and because it was a new IP, they claimed that it lacked pre-existing fan bases to...
Lacked pre-existing fan bases? Oh my god. But yeah, thank you for the subby, Wolf. Welcome to the stream. Hope you have a wonderful time in the Dragon Cave.
Bolster its launch. Do I really need to sit here and name literally every single indie banger that's dropped? All of them with no marketing, all of them were new IP, and all of them lacked any pre...
That's what I was about to say, like, do you want me to start naming all the indies that destroy you? Which, by the way, guys, let me know on YouTube and in Twitch, should we start playing Hollow Knight? Should we go back to Hollow Knight and play it? Do we do that?
Existing fan bases. They then moved on to the price, saying that at $40, Concord was too expensive next to free-to-play competitors. They argued that players only shift if all of their friends do, and they even hesitate because they have sunk cost fallacy with cosmetics and perks that they've already bought into in other games. They, of course, then...
Which, like, that right there is partially a reason. But it's not a big enough reason than you think it is. Yeah, lacks pre-existing fanbase. Translation, we're never making a unique IP ever again, kind of thing. Which, here's the thing. If sunk cost fallacy held any water, I'd still be playing League. You don't want to see the the amount of money I used to spend on that game. I think I actually reached like $4,000 or something over the years that I played that game. But they've ruined it. It's just a trash fire now.
Go on to talk about how the hero shooter genre...
Like, they bring up a lot of my love for it back if they turned off the kernel level anti-cheat. Because it doesn't work. And all it really does is be intrusive to me. And I don't feel comfortable enough to let you touch it.
Was just too oversaturated at the time, saying that since then, we've seen a few more big-budget hero shooters come to the market. Apex Legends, Valorant, and Overwatch 2.
And Apex Legends is dying. Valorant is dying. Overwatch 2 is basically dead. Good job.
Each of them with their own unique...
Looking at all the wrong ones.
...gameplay attributes that Harding roles. All three of these games are played by millions of gamers every month and
not a million.
Dominate this category. Concord's gun...
Pretty sure Overwatch is less than 500,000. Apex Legends is probably around that number too. Valorant is still pretty big, but it's like been steadily pissing off more and more people.
It compares most closely.
Like, it's not even in the news anymore. Like, it's not even gaming news anymore. That's how, like, irrelevant it's become.
Overwatch 2, and overall the hero shooter market is already well served with a collection of very strong free-to-play titles. They then finished off by pointing out the timing of...
I love how this is the only ever time where they say Black Myth Wukong was amazing. And the way they say it is, oh, it was 5 months after Black Myth Wukong. Oh, it was doomed. No, sorry.
Of the game's release, saying that it doesn't help that Concord released on August 23rd, 2024, just 3 days after Black Myth Wukong. Though the two games are significantly different, it's hard to deny that the launch of the former overshadowed the latter in terms of marketing, hype, and sales. For what it's worth, Concord's release date was announced 5 months after Black Myth Wukong. For one reason or another, Sony did not opt to nudge the game out of its wake. Now, one thing I want to point out before I move on from this...
Because they were in the same people's category that were trying to say Black Myth Wukong's a terrible game with terrible people and... Oh, God.
They linked Black Myth Wukong on this, and of course it links to their article about claims of sexism.
See what I mean?
The only thing that I'll give these guys...
More pre-watch allegations!
Is the pricing. Charging $40 in a genre that's built on free-to-play is one of the dumbest decisions that you can make, but the idea that more marketing would have saved Concord, what are you guys saying? And the excuse that the hero shooter space is already well served? Please, Marvel Rivals came out right after Concord a few months later, and it peaked at almost 650,000 concurrent players on Steam. It hit 40 million total players in 2 months, and even after all the initial hype died down, well, it still averages over 100,000 players per day. Clearly, the genre was never the problem. Universally, players were saying the exact same thing. It might have contributed, but it was never the core reason. Even if Concord would have been free to play, it wouldn't have mattered. The only difference that would have made is the people dunking on it, including myself, would have had more gameplay footage to be able to use. But no amount of trailers, media push, no billboard campaign is going to make anyone buy something that they don't want. No marketing would have done anything. The only thing...
What's hilarious is, another game that's going to learn this very well is Borderlands 4. It's gonna do terrible. Clip me right now, it's not gonna reach 100,000 people. Too much people are pissed off at all the changes to the TOS. I'm not playing anything with that TOS on it. Hell no. Ooh, that sounds really fun. Lock on.
More money. And then there's
a Gunfire Reborn, but with Bioshock art and vibes. Oh. As long as I get to play something like the Big Daddy.
It's the wildest excuse of all that Black Myth Wukong overshadowed Concord. Sure, Wukong dominated hype and sales, but maybe the question should be instead, why did it have all that hype to begin with? Maybe it's because it was a fresh IP, a high-quality game, and it actually looked cool. That's the biggest reason why that game actually moved. Maybe it's because it was actually directly aimed at the people who play dark action RPGs. And that's the part this industry just does not seem willing to admit, that gaming overall might be split 50-50 between men and women, but once you break it down by genre, those numbers start to skew. Dark action RPGs like Black Myth Wukong, that's overwhelmingly male. Competitive shooters, overwhelmingly male. Concord's biggest problem wasn't the competition or the timing or the marketing, it was just...
Like, yeah, like, you guys... They seem to think that girls will go to any game whatsoever. Like, I would be considered both in terms of, like, market appeal. Girl and guy. Because I like a lot of girly games and I like a lot of boy games. I typically like more girly games. And here's the problem. You do not appeal to me when you make a guy game look more girly. And you do not appeal to me at all when you make a girly game more guy. Which they've never done, but I'm getting ahead of that. Bless. I like games that appeal to the right people. I like games that are not afraid to appeal to the people they appeal to.
Dragon games with the extra rules.
Chat is disconnected for some reason. Oh, wait.
That it didn't speak to its core demographic. It didn't cater to the people who actually play these games. You know, last year, Paul Tossi wrote an article titled The Woke War and Why the Right Believes It's Dominating Gaming and TV in 2024, where he had lined up every supposed win and loss in the culture war and applied the same tried and true industry excuses that we've heard 100 times. When it came to Concord, he said the wrong perception was that it failed because its heroes were not attractive enough, or because the game was virtue signaling with pronouns in the character select screen. I hate to break it to you, man, but that's exactly why this game failed, and that's also why a lot of other games have failed as well. Sure, some of these criticisms are going to be hyperbolic, but at its core, players did not connect with the aesthetics, the tone, or the designs. Politics have nothing to do with it. The only reason that you don't want to hear that is because it's coming from people that you see as your political opposition, but that doesn't make it any less true. The fact of the matter is, these games keep leaning into themes.
That silence, for whatever reason, the chat bar was messed up, so I had to refresh both. Rah! But yeah, guys, you can chat again. The chat box is refreshed.
Do not care about. And yes, it is virtue signaling when you're elevating things that are not social norms above the quality of the experience and who that experience is supposed to be for. I mean, maybe I'm seeing this from the wrong perspective, but I think it's as simple as people do not care about these things that these developers are shoving into their games. It's not for them and they don't want it. You can try to gaslight them and say, well, if you don't care and it's not for you, then why does it matter? Well, it does matter because they're buying it. It's like that supposed...
Here's the thing. If it doesn't matter, why are you doing it? Why are you even doing it? If it doesn't matter. See, you think that argument works against us, but no, it actually works both ways. It works more the other way. Because you wouldn't do it if it didn't matter.
Controversial clip of...
But yeah, leave Snoop Dogg alone, man. He wasn't even... I saw that clip and I'm like, what's he wrong about? As a parent, I would not want to explain to the child how that worked. I don't freaking know. I'm not taking my kid to see something like that. You think you can cancel Snoop Dogg for that? Snoop Dogg's on the level of Eminem. Try canceling him. I promise you, his actual fans will put you in the dirt. Because Snoop Dogg's been around the block more than a few times. And I can tell you, I know he's not being negative or something. He's just saying it how it is.
Snoop Dogg He did not sign up to teach his little kid grandson about gender identity. He came
Exactly. It's his grandson. He just wants to have a good time with his grandson.
Came to watch a movie cartoon about toys. And instead of just listening or acknowledging that, journalists are ignoring it, developers are digging trenches, and suddenly there are political battle lines all over the video games industry. And I just don't even see this as a political issue. I just see it as a taste issue. And, case in point, one of the Concord developers responded online to criticism about the game, saying that, I don't really care. It was a huge labor from a lot of insanely talented people making an awesome game. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? Well, here's the reason you should care. Because those talentless freaks are the ones that are buying your games.
Exactly. Your argument doesn't work here. You have no power here.
They are the ones that keep you employed. When you dismiss them, don't act surprised when your game tanks in less than 2 weeks and you don't have a job. I mean, this is comical at this point because on one hand, you have developers that are calling players talentless freaks, you have journalists that are ignoring the elephant in the room, and on the other hand, you have these same people that are begging you for sympathy. I'm reminded just a few months back after the disaster around Marathon's closed alpha, one of Concord's developers took to Reddit to post this long post telling players that they need to be empathetic, that we need to give more grace to developers that are making mistakes. And it's a line that we have heard 1,000 times by now. They said that Concord failed to resonate with players and it was a gut-wrenching experience for them, and that players need to go easy on the Marathon team. And the crazy thing is, the only thing that I never hear is an honest acknowledgement of player criticism. Not a single time, not in good faith. Never the quiet part out loud that maybe the problem isn't the market or the competition or the timing. Maybe the problem with games is themselves. These failures are not mysteries. They're not accidents of timing. They are not lessons in disguise. They are the result of the industry refusing to listen, hiding behind excuses about markets and competition while ignoring the players that
me the trailer's okay.
This industry alive. Concord was not some anomaly. It was the clearest possible warning, and yet instead of just changing course, the whole lot of them are still marching down the exact same path, convinced that the problem is anything but themselves, which means that the next collapse is not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. I legit think that the only developers that I know that have talked about these things, either in good faith or honestly or just up front, have been like Lords of the Fallen CEO and a handful of Eastern developers, and that's it. And I don't understand why it's become so taboo just to have the honest discussion of, hey, with certain target audiences, with certain genres and certain games, this stuff isn't working. It's not resonating with them. They're not interested in it. And by forcing it, we're just going to lose more and more money. We're going to lose those customers, and we're just going to continue to piss them off. Maybe these guys just like hot characters. Isn't that crazy? I think regardless of male or female, people do like attractive characters. That doesn't mean they need to be in every single game, but I mean, look at Marvel Rivals. Regardless of how that game is done up until this point, obviously it's lost some people ever since it came out. I think that happens with a lot of these games, to be honest. There's some edge cases that hold on to a lot of their players, but I mean, some of these absurd numbers, we can't expect these games to hold on to 600,000 concurrent players.
You can't. It's just unrealistic. Some of these live services seem to expect that they can come into a market that's already like kind of full to begin with, overfull in my opinion, and then think they can get a piece of the pie that's not there. I'm not investing more time into a different, like, I've got to the point where I've cut down on my gachas. Like I was saying, there's this gacha that came out with Ezio and stuff. I'm going to try to go back into it. But I just don't have the time because it's one of those gachas that expects way more time investment than it necessarily deserves from me because it's so hard to get roles. Even with all the time I invest in it.
It's just not going to happen. But you still see a lot of fan art. You still see people cosplaying the characters all the time, even still today. And I think you just need to not be in the middle. You can also lean to the other side, make characters look weird and ugly. Look at Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey.
I still play ZZZ, Star Rail, and I do really want to still play Wuthering Waves. I really want that new character, because she's all swordsman style and stuff.
Look at Earthworm Jim. What happened to those games? Look at Roadhog or Junkrat or characters like that. People like stuff like that. It's interesting. I think it's when these developers try to do these...
You know League of Legends is failing, by the way, because they're coming out with a Darkin character that's not a girl. Weird, isn't it? Like the one aspect that we everyone in League has been begging for. And now they're finally doing it. Even though it's not going to make them that much money. Wonder why.
Relatable character designs where they're trying to bend themselves to be able to... it's virtue signaling. I'm just going to call
it is.
What it is. It's exactly what
it's
it is.
Virtue signaling.
But people don't want that. They're just not interested in it. We know what average looks like. We look at it in the mirror every single day. I don't need to see that in a video game. I want to see something weird. I want to see something cool. I want to see something inspiring. And by not admitting that to yourself, you're going to put yourself in a world of pain. And that's what a lot of these companies have done. You know, the industry has to wake up to this. They have to just talk about the elephant in the room and be...
Were you talking about the kitty over there? Yes. That is what I stare at half the time.
Open and honest about it. Otherwise, it's just going to sink more and more of these games. And I think that's the reason why, in a lot of cases, I try not to be too pessimistic when it comes to some of these games and these companies. But it's really hard to, because they just refuse to approach it because it makes them so uncomfortable. I think on one hand, they're afraid of PR, but on the other hand, these guys do believe in a lot of this stuff. And I hate to tell you, when you're selling a product, it doesn't matter how you feel. Unless you're okay with not selling it to a lot of people, but then you need to prepare for that. I sure as the hell
You need to prepare for that. If you're not going to appeal to the right people, you're going to ignore it, your actual, like, core audience, you need to understand that it's probably going to fail.
Be spending $400 million to make something, and then be surprised when you lose money on it.
Pikachu face? Shocked face?
It makes them uncomfortable. Well, that's too bad. Because
too bad.
Money. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video.
More gamers have started voting with their wallets than ever before, and you're up shit's creek.
If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and catch me live on Fridays. Thank you guys for watching. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Boys! Family! 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 Love that man.